And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist Peter Chan, and this is your Alaska Aviation Weather Outlook on this Monday, July 21st, 2025. And we're going to be looking at the period of Tuesday and Wednesday for our flight weather. Starting out, though, with this Monday, we do have a weak area of low pressure at the surface coming up out of the far north Bering Sea toward the Bering Strait. And that's all part of a deeper low circulation that's embodied much of the Bering up toward the Bering Strait area. And it's not just at the surface, but mid and upper level low circulation. Meanwhile, there's been a ridge of high pressure in the weekend that's finally beginning to flatten and fold over toward the Panhandle. Panhandle still, though, will enjoy a couple of more warm days with some sunshine here for Monday and Tuesday. But again, this pattern's going to shift out rather quickly. We're eventually going to see weak low pressure developing here over the northern Gulf as we get into later Tuesday and certainly Wednesday, Thursday time frame. And that mid and upper level low that'll be circulating in this region on Tuesday, by the time we get into Thursday and Friday, that's going to quickly head southeastward toward the Gulf. And that's going to help spin up, keep an area of low pressure circulation over the Gulf to close out the week and start the weekend. So somewhat active pattern for Tuesday afternoon. Could be a few thunderstorms pop up east side there of the Alaska Range, northern parts of the Copper River Basin and the upper Tanana Valley. As for the Panhandle, still warm conditions, especially in the southern parts where you may get some sun. Up here in the Arctic, along the Beaufort Sea coast, Utqiagvik, we have some lower stratus and fog that's sitting mainly offshore. And then out here to the west, we continue to find IFR conditions along areas of the west coast, out through St. Matthew, St. Paul, central western Aleutians. Now, there is going to be areas of rain and rain showers pushing inland, continuing to do so, not just today, Monday, but into Tuesday, Wednesday. And initially, that's going to be up here along the Brooks Range, all along the west and west interior. And eventually, as that upper low on Thursday heads southeastward, it's going to force some of that moisture further south into south central areas. So I expect to see some showers at some point increasing down along southern areas. And then for Wednesday, you can see IFR conditions here in through the Gulf. Start to see a chance of some showers, especially as we get into Wednesday afternoon and into Thursday. But some IFR conditions there in the Panhandle, and then also along the Arctic coast and through the Bering Strait, areas of the southwest, lower Yukon, up into Kuskokwim Bay, and then back out again toward the central western Aleutians for Wednesday afternoon. Still enough instability, could be a few thunderstorms pop up there, eastern half of the Yukon Flats toward the Alcan border. Generally MVFR conditions Wednesday afternoon here across the Panhandle. Could start to see a few showers moving in from the northwest as, again, this energy is going to be shifting southeastward. There's also an easterly wave pulling back toward the Alcan border out of northwest Canada. So keep an eye on this region, but right now looking mainly MVFR for Wednesday afternoon. Widespread MVFR conditions along central western Alaska Range out through much of the southwest interior. A reflection of that southwest flow aloft turning more westerly and bringing that moisture into areas of south central. So passes here start out in the far north. Anaktuvik Pass up there in the east central Brooks Range, MVFR Tuesday. Same thing, Adigan Pass, MVFR conditions expected. Getting down to Lake Clark and Merrill, we'll see MVFR in the early morning giving way to VFR. And then looks like through the central Alaska Range, Rainy Pass, including Windy Pass, should see MVFR conditions hold throughout Tuesday. Isabel Pass may start out with MVFR conditions in the morning giving way to VFR. Mentasta Pass, generally MVFR conditions will prevail, and there could be an isolated thunderstorm pop-up within vicinity of the pass Tuesday afternoon, early evening. Tanita Pass should generally be able to hold on to VFR conditions for Tuesday, as will Portage Pass. And then in the north end of the Panhandle, expecting MVFR conditions at Chilkoot and White. So looking at the freezing levels at the surface, that's way up there, Beaufort Sea coast, north of the Mackenzie River entrance. But as we look at the freezing levels aloft, Notice the ridging still in place, the warm dome of air over the Panhandle, Haida Gwaii, this area of the Southeast Gulf, North Pacific above 14,000 foot freezing levels. Meanwhile, this pocket of cooler air aloft is a reflection of that mid and upper level low circulation I'm talking about. And so by Tuesday morning, we have this area where the freezing levels aloft are below 6,000 feet there around the Bering Strait, lower Chukchi Sea. And this broad troughiness, this is all part of that low pressure circulation. That's what's keeping the southwesterly flow coming into the mainland, keeping that moisture and the lower cloud cover and showers and areas of rain going. So where we have the thicker cloud cover, we have the precipitation there. We find there could be moderate icing above 8,000 feet here, Norton Sound, east end of the Seward Peninsula, middle Yukon Valley, and as we drop down lower Yukon, Nunavik Island and Kuskokwim above 10,000 feet, some moderate icing, and then back out here into the southwest quadrant of the Bering Sea where there's some precipitation with another weather system above 12,000 feet. And then within the eastern interior here, we still have the potential for some convection to pop up Tuesday afternoon, Yukon Flats, Alcan border, but freezing levels are quite high, but generally above 10,000 feet, so we might encounter in that region some isolated moderate icing above 12,000 feet and then also above 14,000 feet there in the southeast portion of the mainland where, again, a few scattered showers and isolated storms could develop. So looking at the jet stream pattern aloft 30,000 feet, here we have the low circulation, the Bering Strait region. Here's a little shortwave trough. The ridging not as pronounced as what it was late last week and over the weekend. 95 knot wind max running through the Gulf back toward Kodiak Island and the Alaska Peninsula. At 9,000 feet, 700 millibars, we still see a reflection of that pattern. Low pressure circulation here, Chukchi Sea. And then we have a little bit of a shortwave trough here over southwest Alaska. And then again, a little bit of ridging nudging up toward the Panhandle and Haida Gwaii, and a band of winds generally out of the west-northwest between 35 to as high as 50 knots well south of Kodiak Island in the North Pacific, and then another belt of winds 40 to 50 knots out here across the southwest quadrant of the Bering. And then 3,000 feet, we still see hints of that ridging and winds 30 to 40 knots, but strongest there well south of the Gulf in the North Pacific. And behind me, the next weather system coming in off the Kamchatka Peninsula does have locally higher winds, 50 to 60 knots there along the coastline. But otherwise, we're looking at the potential for some moderate turbulence on Tuesday, surface to 4,000 feet, areas of the west coast, especially the Seward Peninsula, inland a bit there, Nome east through Golovin, Shaktoolik, Stebbins, that area surrounding Norton Sound up into maybe southern parts of Kotzebue Sound. And then also a pocket of brisker winds, surface to 6,000 feet here, Kamishak Bay out toward Kennedy Entrance there. And then also perhaps some isolated moderate turbulence just off of the west and southwest coast of the Panhandle, say southeast of Sitka and off of Prince of Wales Island. And that isolated turbulence would be surface to 6,000 feet on Tuesday.